Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. We're going to have Drake and Lady Dragon and Minuteman on this evening. The last hour and a half, we're going to have Q&A. So for the first hour and a half, we'll have Drake, Lady Dragon, and Minuteman say what they got to say. Take it away, guys.
Good. Lady Dragon, you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hey,
how you doing, everyone?
You here too?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay. I got a few things that people need to know what's going on. There's a variety of things that are happening that people don't know about. One of those is that you heard that the European Union is having severe problems. This has been all over the place. And you've also heard that the recent meeting of the heads of state decided that they wanted to try to help that out. Well, come to find out, the way they're looking at financing that is with credit default swaps. Okay? Rocket scientists can't figure out what they are or how they work, but they're there. Supposedly they have some sort of value, according to the people that buy and sell them, and that's basically what they're looking at doing. Now, I think it's bad enough that the banking system is the way it is, but apparently we also now have to deal with the ideology that things that are even hard to cause a reaction in. For people that don't know, credit default swap is very simple. It's sort of an insurance hedge bet. If something happens, it pays out. And consequently, the interesting part is that the Greece economy has had a load of these things, and this load has not assisted them one little bit. So that sort of kind of intimates to me that either you can't activate the things or they're worthless, one of the two. And so that's one of the behind-the-doors deals that was not supposed to be well known, and that I was asked to put on this show tonight. As some people know, I deal with some of the principals in the financial world, and presently we are in a process of finalizing the agreements with the collateral accounts. That process has been going along for some time and has finally gotten to the point where it can be finalized. This means that in the very near future you can look forward to the finalization of the request for payment of liens against the central banking system, both in Europe and here and other places. This means that the things that I have been trying to expound upon, I've been trying to explain, and I've been trying to let everybody know, are very close. I can almost taste it, but I'm a little closer than some others. The crux of it is this. Nobody knows exactly the full timing range of what takes place when these things happen, because they've not happened before. Some things similar to it have happened, and according to the best experts in the field, we're looking at a period of time of about a week, give or take, of a zeroing of currencies. The reason being is that the central banking system owes an extraordinary amount of money to the collateral from which they have leveraged, borrowed, stolen, or however you want to put this. That has put them in an interesting position. Not only do they owe the amount that they've used, they owe a certain percentage of interest. This is not something that they have available to repay. Consequently, you're going to find that a lot of currencies, economies, and other things that people have gotten used to the nature of, the convenience of credit cards and things of this nature, having a local bank that you can get a few bucks out of when you need it, these things are about to close. The whole of the banking system will be closed for about a week, give or take. Now, when I say a week, I'm talking 3 to 5 days, give or take. That 3 to 5 day period would be working days, so you're looking at about a week's closure. It takes about 2 or 3 days for the actual closing, and it takes about the same amount of time to revalue, reinvest, and reopen. So altogether, you're probably looking at about 2 weeks. And if you haven't done so, for your own survival and protection, I recommend that you get a couple of weeks' worth of what's called junk silver. 1964 and before silver coinage, United States Mint, or coinage of your country that is a metal, a precious metal consistency of 80% or better. These coinages will be able to be used like a normal currency. They will be pegged to whatever the basic spot price is for those metals. So, in other words, them old silver dimes that you got in a shoebox somewhere could be worth, quite literally, their weight in silver at least. You take 50 cents worth of those and have them weighed, you're talking about $25 worth of silver. These will be the commodities that will be able to be used. Gold also will be able to be used, don't get me wrong, but silver is more affordable. It's not very expensive as far as an ounce price goes, and its availability shouldn't be too much of a problem as of yet. I recommend everybody get a couple of weeks worth of what you're going to spend. What you normally spend at the grocery, multiply by 2. If you buy fuel, multiply by 2, whatever you use during the week. Just that simple. You'll find that a lot of people all of a sudden have postal scales so that they can weigh the coin, multiply by generally 85% is what the particular coinage I'm describing comes in at in terms of silver content, and multiply that by the price per ounce according to the most recent spot price, and it gives you the value of the coin. Just that simple. There are going to be a couple of problems with this. One of them is going to be change. In other words, you get so much gas, but you're paying in silver that's worth a little bit more. The best way to handle that is a simple IOU from whatever you're buying, whomever you're buying from, for the difference in the amount. That's to be turned in on your next purchase. That clears that account. Then you divvy up a little more silver. Down the road you go. The emergency management people, and I'm not talking about FEMA or some of these other so-called entities. I'm talking about the real emergency preparedness people, have set up caches of food and supplies of different nature, depending on what somebody might need. So you'll have food if you got to have it and you're on a limited income and you cannot get a hold of silver. If you have that problem, call somebody. During this period of time, phones, all the utilities are supposed to be kept on as best as possible. You shouldn't have any interruptions. After the closing of the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, after the people are cleaned out, is going to be handling currencies, period, just as it is supposed to have always been. The ideas of bonanzas that people are looking at may or may not materialize the way they think they will. Some of the structure of the new finance has not been fully completed as of yet, so some of the details are lacking. They are, and when I say they, there are an extraordinary amount of people working on things that will best fit according to the country applied. In other words, Russia is different than the United States. China is different from both of us. And then you got India, which is totally different from everybody. So, you know, pick something in terms of a system that's not necessarily totally crooked. The system might be okay. Adjust it a little bit so that it is okay. Then how do you apply the funding, in what manner, so that you come out with a correct result? These are the details that need to be worked out. A lot of the details dealing with the United States has been worked out. That plan is called NESARA. There are two NESARAs. I've mentioned this before in different places. One NESARA is talked about by the U.S. government. That is not the good one. The good NESARA is the one that has been locked up and removed from record, but still exists. This NESARA offers a different take entirely upon finance than the one that you see publicly. Now, I've had conversations with people who are supposed to be structuring some of this. One of the things about NESARA was a flat tax. The idea of the flat tax, in terms of that word, tax, in my opinion, should be a four-letter word, but it's only three, is going to be turned into what's called use fee. By that I mean, according to the traffic on a specific road, you have certain expenses to maintain that road. You will pay a toll of 25 cents, dollar, whatever it might be, according to the number of cars that travel it or trucks, etc. And that toll would cover the expense of the maintenance of that road. In other words, you don't have a county tax covering that any longer. You won't need it. Along with this, you have other, quote, use taxes. In other words, you have minus the federal taxes, a telephone normally runs somewhere in the neighborhood of $21 in taxes alone. These are federal taxes mostly. So you can imagine the drop in the prices of some of the commodities used. And if you pay them $1 a month to maintain the wires, that's a lot better than 21. So you're looking forward to some things that are going to be extraordinary changes. Now, as I said, the agreements in terms of the collateral accounts are in process as we speak. What this means is that the RV will be set ahead of time so that there is no lag necessary in terms of the revaluation. This is critical to make sure that there are not great interruptions in economies. There is a possibility that some of the banking system that exists will also be continually used. Now, these will be fully open above board and thoroughly outed in terms of if somebody wants to take a look, they can see right through the thing. There's going to be nothing hidden any longer in terms of finance. But there may be a need, instead of having just one treasury location, having a secondary one so that they can get the funds to somebody quicker. Just that simple. Nothing more complicated than that. These use fees are not going to be as extraordinary as everybody thinks, and will be less than the tax that the old NESARA plan was designed to implement. This much I have found out. So, to go along with this, I got a nice little email the other day everybody ought to really enjoy. Homeland Security releases list of keywords that cheese them off. Lo and behold, you can't say nothing without cheesing off Homeland Security. There's 3-4 pages of friggin' words that normally everybody would use in general normal conversation in one form or another that apparently sets off their alarm bells. Well, I hope everybody gets a hold of that and uses them thoroughly all over the internet, phone conversations, anything you can think of to cause their red flags to go off. The reason for this is eventually they will burn the alarm out and they will no longer get red flags. There's another thing I'm going to add to this. We're supposed to have a pots and pans terrorist organization loose. I heard a rumor about something about 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time all over the planet, whatever time it might be for you. If it's nighttime and the people are at home, go to their homes. The idea is to ring the bell, ringy-dingy-dingy with a metal spoon on a pan or a pot. We need to walk around and around their buildings, if they're there in the office, and ring their bell that way. We need to let these people know that, in general, the people are dissatisfied with the combination of the conduct, moral level, and lack of representation that our elected officials are showing us. We want our freedom. There's been a lot of arrests in varying places for nonviolent public demonstration. There's been attacks in varying manners, one of those being people sitting peaceably, arms locked, getting maced because cops want to play with their new mace gun or for whatever reason. I don't like that, but don't get violent with them. Don't push on them. Don't do nothing out of the way. Just clog everything up. If 2,000 people fill up a bridge, it's going to take them a while to clean that up. If you did that during rush hour in New York City at a couple places, or Chicago, or L.A., or some other different major intersections in different major cities around the world. Think about downtown London. I wonder what would happen if certain subways were blocked because people gathered in a crowd, and it was a huge crowd. And when people decided they were going to try to move them, they all sat down, picked me up and carried me away. Peaceful protest. Gandhi was an expert at it. Some of that protesting did get violent, but 99% pure, nonviolent. We refuse to participate. This is the ideology of the game. As soon as the financials are completed, there will be a worldwide announcement of it. This much I can tell you. I will not elucidate, I will not say exactly when, but look for it in the next couple of weeks, give or take. And with that, I believe there's some news from our northern neighbor, Canada, dealing with some kind of a protest after somebody said you couldn't protest. Would Dragon Lady like to share with us what was going on up there?
Hello, Drake. Hello, Minuteman and everyone. Yes, here, what is happening in Montreal, it started like 3 months ago. The government started to say that they're going to hype up the fees for the students, okay? So the students said no, okay, and they went to protest. And then everything escalated from there, you know. They got beat up, they got arrested. Downtown Montreal, for people who don't know, is extremely peaceful. You can walk, a woman can walk at 3 o'clock in the morning at St. Catherine Street, and it's peaceful. Now it's a war zone. You have horses with cops on it. We have buses. They harass on a nightly time, every night, every day, about 500 people that protest. And it has escalated. The people, even they went too far, you know. They started beating up the students, and then the teachers and the parents, they are making barricades in front of the police. Can you imagine that, Drake? You have the student protesting, then you have the parents and the teacher barricade, so the cops and the riot cowards, they don't hurt the student. That was the second step. Now the third step came that they made a bill called Bill 78, where they have not the right to protest unless they have the permission of the chief of police. So, you know, it didn't go well, you know. So now they wanted to have the map of where they were going to go, okay? And they give them a map, all right. They made a map, a white map with and a finger saying, fuck you, in red. Say, you're not going to tell us where to go. We're going to go where we want to go. And then, of course, a lot of people got arrested, and we go again. Now, on Monday, people, it is escalating, okay? Now people are saying no to all this. Now we saw what on Monday? We saw over 500 lawyers and notaries marching down with their robe, a full dress, to say that I'm a lawyer, and I know it's wrong, and I'm saying no to this. And they are marching on the streets. If you go on my website, which is FCM2012.com, which stands for Free Canada Movement 2012, you will see the pictures. There's a lot of people there. See, this is what's going on. I was discussing this with my friend Delan yesterday night. I was saying, you know, when it was happening in Germany, Hitler, you know, this is the problem that they did. This is what we're not doing here, okay? In Germany, when they started to gather one group, or whatever group it was, it's irrelevant. When they started to gather one group, nobody did anything because they said, well, I'm not part of that group, you know. And then they gathered the other group, well, I'm not part of that group. And then so on and so on. And when it came to them, well, there was no one to save them, okay? So this is not happening here. Quite the opposite. More different group, everybody is getting involved, which is the way to go, you know. No, you know, it's no. And imagine lawyers walking down the street saying no to the government. So what's next? What have next after that? Judges? What? Cops? Military men and women, you know, people? Actually, people from the stupid government, you know? They should get up and say no to all this. So this is very eventful and actually hysterical, everyone, okay? I have never seen this in my life, and I know a lot of things, and I have never seen lawyers dressed in their robe walking down the street to say no to the government. That I have never seen, okay? And it continues. It has been like this over 106, 7 days now. People are like, it was started to be the student protesting, and now it's spreading on everywhere. Because why? Because they are abusing, the government is abusing their power in a very, very I don't know what's the word. It's so an awful way. In a I'm the best, fuck you all attitude. You're gonna do as I say. Oh, I'm your boss. You're my slave. I'm the master kind of thing, you know. And here, and for people that don't know Quebec, it doesn't work that way. You know, the people in Quebec are very, very peaceful. They like their beer. They like their hockey. And they like to sit down outside and have peace, you know. Now, I'm actually very, very, very impressed and pleased with see what my Quebec people are doing. They are getting up and doing something, which is people quite the opposite. You in the States, you cannot. You go into the what's it called this? The airport. Hey, they rape you into this, and you in the States you do nothing. Okay, here, excuse me, it's not going that way at all. So this is I think is very hysterical and very commending on their part, and this is what it has to happen everywhere. You know, every city. You know, they go out of line. Put them out of line. Excuse me, in case you didn't get the memo, the government's supposed to work for us, not us working for the government. Oh, especially not us being slaves to government. You know what I'm saying here? It's like people, I think, lost the way of how the government is supposed to work. The government, we supposed to supposedly elect people in the government that will help us do as we say, or convey our wishes how we want the country to run. Not you decide, well, you're in power now, you are my slave. What the hell? What kind of thing is this? You know? No. You know? I was saying, okay, for people who don't know, okay, here in May last year, okay, there was federal election, and the major two parties are the Liberal and Conservateur, and in Quebec they were very fed up. Everybody, and I mean everybody, got wiped out. They were all they all lost their position. There were new people elected, and the NPD came in a landslide. Okay, everybody was freaked out how much people are fed up here in Quebec. That was last year, people. Okay, in May of last year, the federal election last year, and it was certain it was been that day, there would have been provincial election. Okay, that if it would have been a provincial election, that the provincial government would have been removed. That was last year. Can you imagine now? Can you imagine that they are on more on their way out? I mean, it's impossible. I mean, absolutely impossible. They're going to be re-elected, first of all, and I don't see how this thing will turn less of what it is, because more people are waking up. More people are aware that now they have come after this group, and now you all will go get mixed up in this. And this is actually very, very positive. I say this, like I said with the 9/11 thingy, I said they have miscalculated the thing. They have been absolutely arrogant, saying that we can do anything, and the hell with everybody, you know what I'm saying? And I've been awake for very many years, way over the 9/11, way before 9/11. But I see the majority of people are awake for 5 years. Why? Because they did the 9/11, and people say, "Oh, that's wrong," and then they got to wake up. The same thing here. The student. Okay, at first maybe some people were thinking, well, maybe the student are asking for too much. Now, no. Now everybody is on the side of the student. Now it's not even about the student what's going on. And never mind the student. The student situation is like so not the first thing on their agenda now. It's our freedom or us to say, no, what the hell are you doing here? You know what I'm saying? And now they want to say, well, you cannot do this, cannot do that. Again, it goes back to slavery. Okay, and people actually say no to slavery, and this is fantastic. This is fantastic. I mean, every night, can you imagine that? It's summer here. For people who don't know, it's summer. Okay, we used to go downtown and have a beer on the terrace. Now it's impossible. You cannot go downtown, first of all, because it's too dangerous. Because the cops are gonna come out at 10 or 9 as soon as darkness arrives, and they're gonna start arresting anybody that they see. You're not even, you can just be walking on the street and they're going to take you and they're going to put you. Oh, what does that remind me of? Again, when it was Hitler time, okay? Hitler time, when they say, well, they're going to bring you this and there. So, you know, I have a friend that came over just before the show. I said, I have flyers. And I said, okay, I want you to go downtown. But I said, you're going to wait. I'm going to call you after the radio show. I want to give you specific instruction, because you're going to go there tomorrow night, but you're not going to go there in the middle, so you get arrested, you know? So imagine, what type of thing is this, that in Montreal, that you cannot go downtown because you're going to get arrested? And now, if you think that's only in Montreal, Canada, if they're doing this here, they're going to do this everywhere where you live, wherever you are, in LA, you know? I know LA very well. Well, what they say, well, now you're not going to go to the beach anymore, huh? Can you imagine that? Not going to the beach anymore, you know, and start running up the people on the 105. What the hell? Imagine, you know, the 105 is always clogged. Imagine they're going to say, well, you go there, you're going to get arrested. You know, come on, you know? You know what I'm saying, Greg?
Maybe people have an idea if they can do it in Canada. Yeah, it's a little different system, but it's still the police infringing upon the freedom and rights of the individual citizen to walk down the street. Well, we got some of that here. How much is enough, people? This is the question. And Lady Dragon's a firecracker, and to be honest, I'm proud to know her. She's not afraid of anything, willing to stand up and do whatever it takes. We need to at least get as excited. I mean, that's going to make you at least sit up on the couch so you wake up a little bit. Listen to what's going on. Listen, keep your ear to the ground. Yeah, it sounds funny like the Indians, but keeping your ear to the ground means listening up for the fun and games that's going on that might address directly to you. Now, Montreal, I mean, you can't hardly tell it from the United States in terms of the closeness, in terms of the border. A lot of the borders. Ooh, I don't know if anybody's crossed lately into Canada or tried to come back. It's a major problem to get in and out of the United States. What's going on? Well, now, I mentioned the constitutional free zone in a chat room the other day. ACLU website has it. It's 100 miles inland from all of our borders. The Constitution, thanks to the Homeland Security Act, has been, quote, suspended. How many people live within 100 miles of the national border? If you do, you might consider that you aren't free anymore. You are now slaves. They did this intentionally. It was a time delay device in the Homeland Security Act. Now, you have a little bit of an idea as to what they may have in store or in mind for us here. Now, there's one problem with that, and I've explained this before. They got a money problem, a serious one. That serious money problem is such that they don't have the cash to move a lot of people around real easily or come get you and this sort of thing anymore. It is not available to them. So what you're looking at is, you're looking at a situation, this time, it was so unconscionable that the attorneys, the lawyers, legalists came out and said, no. Now, we need to get a combination of that sort of thing happening here. The only way we're going to do that is to talk to people, just like Lady Dragon does. Hey, you going to let them do that to you? Why are you letting them do that to you? They don't have a legal right to do that. Remember, question everything. Believe only half of what you hear, nothing as to what you see, because somebody might be playing games with you. Don't trust anybody over 30. Well, I'm an old man, and the reason I'm involved in this as an old man ain't for me. I got kids and grandkids. They don't need to go through the horse manure that's going on up there in Canada, here in the United States, or anywhere else for that matter. We need to start getting ourselves together. It ain't got to be some kind of write-it-down organization as such necessarily, but it does need to have a thing called communication. It does need to have people who are willing to give up a little bit of that game, put a little bit of themselves on the line, and say, enough's enough. I'm not going to let you do that to my grandkids. I mean, me, I'm old. I've had my life. But my kids are coming up. They need to be able to ride their bikes down the street without the cops arresting them. They need to be able to walk around at night and not get shot just because they're wearing a hoodie. Now, I'm not going to say that that's what happened in that particular case everybody knows about. What I'm going to suggest is that there does not need to be this kind of animosity between anybody. What should have happened in the hoodie case is very simple. If there's a question, the person that is security identifies themselves as security. Hey, I'm supposed to pull security. I don't know who you are. Where about you going? Oh, I'm going home. Can I walk over with you and make sure everything's cool? No problem. You took care of the whole thing. No problems at all. You do not necessarily have to challenge somebody to find out about what's going on. 99% of the time, a seasoned policeman simply talks to you because he knows that talking to you works. If it works that way, it can work between us. And ladies and gentlemen, everybody in this country needs to get ready. We need to have our stuff together so that we can function as free people. It is coming. Dragon Lady, I'm gonna ask Minuteman to come in and voice his opinions about what is going on up in Montreal, what we should be doing here, and then I want both of you to give me a quickie kind of synopsis of it, and I'd like to make one little more in-run in terms of some information, and we'll go from there. Minuteman?
Well, I just think that's a wonderful thing when people get together and learn to tell the authorities no and their rights are being trampled on. That's what we're supposed to do as a free people. We're not supposed to take it just laying down. And, well, man, I just think that's great to hear that even the lawyers and people like that have even jumped in there. I've seen a few places I believe it was in Europe, trying to think of where it was, where the police even joined in on the protest and made sure the protesters were actually protected. This is the kind of good work we really need to work for. We need to, like Drake said, you got to get out there and you got to talk to people. We have these things going on in the United States called Occupy Wall Street. And I know a lot of people out there are like, they don't know how to take that stuff. They're kind of caught that they want to believe some of the mainstream media, Glenn Beck, people like that these people are just bad people. They want everything for free. Well, I personally went to some of them here in Texas, and you know what, folks? I found that to be the furthest thing from the truth. You got a bunch of different people there, well, saying different things. But most of the people there are very concerned about their freedom. They just don't know what to do. Now, can you imagine what would happen if all of us that are educated and know what to do went to the Occupy Wall Street rallies and started to communicate with them people in them? I mean, just think about that. What do you think could happen with that? I believe that if you went in there and you communicated right, that you'd bring more and more people to the understanding that unity within the people and being courageous enough to stand up and, like Drake was saying, you ain't got to be mean or nasty about it. Stand up and say, hey, guess what? We want our freedom, but we're going to have it. You're not going to take it away. We're through with it. So, you know, we're going to gather our numbers up and we're going to show you we're serious. And we're not going to sit and fight with you and beat up your police or anything like that. Be nonviolent about it. Most of the Occupy events I went to, what the militia did in those occasions is we went to the police and to the people both. Went to the police, notified we was there. Heck, we'd help pick up the trash. We'd help them escort people across the road safely. One Occupy in Dallas, there was two opposing factions. One was in the Fed group was there, and the Occupy Wall Streeters were there. And the name-calling started to go across the street. I could tell that the cops were starting to get a little nervous about it. So I talked to the militia members that I brought there. We sent 3 across the street. Those 3 went across the street with their flyers, and they started talking to the occupiers. 30 minutes later, the occupiers crossed the street and joined in the Fed group. Imagine that. Went from name-calling to, hey, wait a minute, we got more in common than what we have that separates ourselves here, and we're not going to make it a name-calling contest no more. We're just going to all join up and sound off in one voice. Things like that are critical to what we're wanting to achieve. And God bless Lady Dragon for bringing us this news and letting us know what's going on in Canada, because Canada, you need to do it too. I know we got a lot of Canadians listening to us tonight, and probably some Australians too. You folks down in Australia, hey, let's get busy. Let's get busy with the good works of freedom. And unity is a must. What a lot of people don't know is I'm going to make a little announcement tonight that I have 2 sites, not just RAM. I've got also a site called the Patriot Unity Coalition. So maybe I should rename that site and call it the Freedom Unity Coalition. And, yeah, look, anybody out there that has sites that believe in freedom and unity and the unity it'll take, well, I'm going to make sure that that address goes out there because it's got a few guidelines and rules like most sites do that are pretty simple and basically ask that, you know, number one, we be law-abiding, nonviolent folks, and that we believe in the principles of respect and honor. And I will hope that even I see Freedom Range join in with that and get some of these sites to come in and start communicating and exchanging their ideas, and maybe we can advance this thing even a little further. And well, Drake, I believe I've about touched everything you need me to say there. Was there anything else?
Oh, no, right off the top. I figured I'd let you run till your motor run down or your battery went dead and see what happened.
Well, no, the battery ain't going dead. My motor ain't running down, folks. I stay fueled up and battery stays charged. And, well, we got to keep it like that because, well, the moment that happens, Drake, we're going to sit down. And, well, you know, as much as I'd like to sit down, I'm not because my freedom ain't in check. For the same reasons you're here, I'm here. I'm 52 years old. I ain't quite what you call a real old man yet, but I'm getting there. And I've got children, too. I've got 2 sons. One of them just got married last Thanksgiving. Folks, it ain't going to be long before I'm going to have grandchildren. And I'm looking at all these children running around. I've got a 4-year-old right down here a little ways from me playing with his truck in the dirt. And I'm wondered, you know, what's his future going to be if I don't do something? Like Drake said, we ain't going to get much out of this, folks. None of us that are on the older side of the fence, but, hey, at least we know we have done what it took to make sure this little one right here playing with his truck in the dirt is going to have something good for him. And look at your children, folks. What are they worth to you? My children's worth my life to me. I mean, literally my life. I would do anything to make sure that they stay free. So I guess we'll just kind of end it right there. I hope I've touched on the things Drake needed me to. And, like I say, I ain't done with you yet tonight. We're just going to let Drake get back to his business there. And I've got a couple little subjects a little later on in the show that we'll bring up.
Very good, thank you. Lady Dragon, I asked you if you might have gotten in touch with any of the people that were protesting. Were you able to do that?
No, not yet, but I'm planning to get in touch with them very soon. Like I said, I just received my flyers. I was waiting to receive my flyers. But I have been calling everybody that I've been asking everybody that I know that I spoke with to reach out, and not only with Occupy. I say Occupy from day one, but not only Occupy. I say organization, the Lion organization, Giraffe organization. I don't care, whatever organization it is, the Chess organization. Who cares? You know, you're gonna go get an organization. They say they have 30,000 people. Well, whatever. You know, it's good. You know, educate them. You know, take the president, take the boss, take the one in charge. And then he's going to go down all the list of the people. You know, it's not only the Occupy, other people too, organization, like you two guys are saying. It's not only one segment of population is affected by this. It's in the entire planet. It's all of us, you know. Doesn't matter where you live on this planet. They're trying to enslave all of us. So, you know, everybody has to do something. You know, whatever you can do, do it.
Okay, for everybody, now this is from a lady in Canada. This is a different country than the United States. Not that much different. I mean, they're, you know, somebody drew a line in the sand and said this is Canada and that's the United States or whatever. It's very simple. It's not difficult. And we need to get as many people involved in this as possible so that we have communication. Now, the reason for that is very simple. We've got a lot of changes coming. There are going to be a lot of different looks to things. There's going to be a lot of different procedures than what people are used to. Now, a lot of the things will stay the same, but there's going to be a lot of things that aren't. And in order to get that word out to everybody, yeah, sure, I can do a show like this, but we're not reaching everybody. In order to get the word out to everybody, people that can't afford a phone, or, you know, they couldn't pay the bill and it got turned off, or they don't got TV, or whatever the reason might be, think about it in terms of being able to go down and let them know what's going on. Hey, you're going to have to do this and this and this. They changed the bank rules, or our finance is different, and they sent this thing out in the newspaper. I happened to get the newspaper, and I know you didn't, so I figured I'd come down and see if you knew about it. Oh, I heard something about it. What you got? Have them read the article to them if they can't read. It don't matter. But communication is key, and this communication is critical. We got one chance at this, one last chance. This is it. You're standing in the middle of it right now, and it's getting ready to happen very soon. And in order to understand what your obligations and responsibilities are in terms of personal freedom, as well as state freedom, national freedom, you're getting into a few things. Yeah, you're going to have to take a little time and learn some things, but it is more than worth it for several reasons. One, it keeps you from having problems, because if you know how something works, and believe me, I know enough about computers to get in trouble. I hate them, and they don't like me very much either, but we managed to get along reasonably well, simply because people helped me learn how to communicate with it. Just that simple. So my situation is that simple with everybody I can run across. Yeah, I crack jokes. I try to be fun to be around, because it's more funner to be fun than not. Some of the jokes on me sometimes. Sometimes we joke about stupid things in life. Good example of that is that you got a problem in your bathroom. It's moldy or it's stinky or whatever, and you can't get rid of it. You go down and you buy some stuff to clean it. And if you look on the label, it'll tell you, use in well-lit, well-ventilated area. Come on, if my bathroom was well-lit, well-ventilated, it wouldn't have mold growing in it. Quit it. Okay, it's like that little thing that comes up sometimes when you miss the number on the phone. It goes, nee, 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 nee. Call back when you're intelligent enough to operate the telephone. I mean, you know, little stupid things like that can be a lot of fun. I mean, you know, notice something. Anything at all. Doesn't matter what it is. Talk about it. Sure is a nice day out. Well, I wish it would stay this way year-round. You know, any old thing to break the ice and get the other person to talking to you. Some people, and a lot of them, specifically in the hills up here, don't talk a lot. They're used to being by themselves, or when you work, you don't waste your breath talking, you use your breath shoveling or something. And that's just the way it is. It ain't no personal thing, and most people don't take it that way. But then there's also people like me who can talk if they decide to do so. I decide to do so because it's fun to joke and have everybody laugh at something. I really enjoy that. I really do. Giving away smiles. That's what I do. I'm that little blessing turkey that runs around making things funny. You know, did you see what they did to the last pizza? And the guy's just paying for it, and he gives me a funny look. They didn't do nothing to the pizza. And I know the ladies that make them. Well, there's also some guys. And the clerk, I know those people well enough. I've been here long enough. And they'll tell me, you know, don't pay no attention to him. He's always causing some kind of trouble and fun and games. And then the person laughs, and I get to go right along with them. Well, actually, it's a joke on me. And I don't mind being fun. That is fun. Sort of like kids and what they're intended to do. They're intended to wear out young parents so you can't have any more kids. It's a test of your sanity. You have to stay in good shape so you can catch them. You know, all these little interesting things in life that, you know, you get rid of one kind of bug in your garden and a new one pops up that nobody in all of creation has ever seen before. It's weird and it's funny looking and it likes everything in your garden and it eats a lot, you know. Sometimes they're covered with fur and called rabbits and sometimes they're bugs. You never know. But the gist of it is real funny. Which direction do you mow your grass? And I'm serious, people think about this. Which direction do you mow your grass? I didn't know it really made a difference. You just, you know, as long as it gets cut, I don't see what, you know, so what? There is a long, educated discussion on the matter, if you can believe it. Couldn't believe it. I stood there and listened because it was my relatives. So, you know, break the ice. There's some way to do it. Plastic bags at the grocery. You know, there used to be, they didn't make the seams very well, and you could guarantee that your bag full of beans would not make it to the car. About the 23rd step, somewhere along in there, you had a pop noise, and you had potatoes or cans going all over the place. Generally, the old paper bags, they used to put the stuff in there that was wet. Now, those things are paper, and when the paper gets wet, it has a tendency to make its glue let go, and you end up with spreading groceries again. Or you're hurrying around in there. Think about this at the grocery. You hurry around in there, and, ooh, that was close. You know, one of these days you're going to have a major wreck in the grocery. Groceries go everywhere. One of these days, my wife's going to overfill the refrigerator, and it's going to simply explode. I'm sure of it. I've seen what she does. That she does things in the refrigerator and freezer that ain't possible. You can't physically have two things in the same space at the same time, and she figures out a way to make it act that way until you open the door. I always stand back from the freezer because that stuff's hard when it comes out on your toes. You know, dumb stuff. But at any rate, the seriousness of this is that everybody needs to use their voice, use their talents, offer to do something for somebody. Can he give you a hand with that bag? I mean, there's, you know, 1,000 silly ways. So I would like to see where the Dragon Lady could add something to that.
Yeah, Lady Dragon is saying that everything that started a long time ago, okay? When everybody had a long time ago, had a beautiful house with a beautiful land, with a beautiful fire, and they were sitting around the fire after dinner when they're having conversation. Now we don't have conversation. We have brainwashing coming from the stupid TV, okay? And after they removed that, well, then they duped the people who saying, well, people that were working with gold and silver, they duped the people to give this to a stupid bank in order to give them a stupid paper and con the people and say, hey, that was gold. That's where the same thing as gold. Come on. I don't know how the hell they got duped to do that. Anyway. And then after that, they got duped. They instead of having a beautiful house and with beautiful garden where you can eat your real food, they got duped and sitting in a stupid apartment and having other people making their food for them. What the hell? You know? Everything went wrong a long time ago. I understand for people who are new to this, there has a lot to grasp, but, you know, that's the way it is. So, you know, there's a lot to do, so that's why we need people to wake up and understand that this has been going for many years and has gone wronger and wronger every day. Everything things is going worse and worse and worse. And now in the U.S., oh, they don't like your shirt, they can take you in a stupid jail, rape you, kill you, whatever, or you don't even have a lawyer because whoever is in charge said, I have the right to do anything I want because I'm in charge, you know? Well, I will tell you this much about people in charge people, okay? I will tell you, and I'm always right about things like this, okay? When you meet somebody that is hung up about their bloody titles, it's because they have nothing, okay? They are cowards, okay? because people that it should be judged on their own merit, not a stupid title written on a stupid shirt. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what? If you're a policeman or a leader, and you should be, people should follow you. Well, then you don't need a stupid title, and you certainly don't need a stupid shirt with a hat to say, well, people follow me because I know better than you. You know, people should follow. People that have good character. You know what I'm saying? And people that do
now,
that.
My question is this, Sue. How close are we? How close are we?
We're ready for a break anytime, Drake. Are you ready?
Lady Dragon, can you handle a break?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Okay, ladies. We're looking at 4 minutes, so you all can make it to the bathroom and back and get coffee or beer or whatever it is you will like.
We're going to play Terry's favorite song, Enough is Enough by Jeremy Dodge. We'll be back in about 4 minutes.
Couch potato?
Absolutely. You want to hear Couch Potato? I'll do that next.
Well, do that, yeah. Do that one after that.
All right. So we'll take about a 7.5-minute break then.
Thank you.
All righty. My Lady Dragon's line, I just put her on mute. She might have lost her connection. I think she'll be calling in a minute. Okay, we are back, and we are going to have a little bit more discussion, and then at 7:30, we will do Q&A with Drake, Minuteman, and Lady Dragon if we can get her back. Go ahead, guys.
Well, hey, I got a question.
Okay.
I saw something about monetary or some and others in Skype.
Yes, there was a question that came from the chat. It had to do with, let's see, I'll have to find it now.
Single monetary
so fast. Something about, it was a world currency. There was a question in there about if there would be a one world currency.
From what I understand, there's not going to be at first, but there may be later. That's a possibility. Now, what everybody has to understand about that is that this is something that the individual nations need to decide upon. Even having a world currency, first of all, is not New World Order, woo, okay? If it is based upon a basic currency value, exactly what you have in your country. What you have to understand is that all of the countries on the planet are going to have a revaluation from the collateral accounts. That means that you're going to have an enormous amount of wealth available to accomplish the goals needed to see to the people's needs, take care of things. Somebody got something or you need to fix a road or whatever it might be. Now, this revaluation is something that everybody is concerned about. Ooh, I'm going to lose my money, or this is going to happen to me, or whatever. Well, no. The idea is to offer a humanitarian take or application of these funds to everybody. Now, I want you to listen to that again. To everybody. It's not going to be discriminatory. Not this time. So, if you did have the same currency in one country as you did in another, maybe it'd spend the same all over the place. It could be different. It could be the same thing we've got now after it's been zeroed out, revalued. It could be that you'll go from the euro to your individual sovereign currencies. There are a lot of possibilities. The possibilities are not yet set. And by that I mean you're not going to have the dictatorial financial policies that you've endured for, I don't know, however long it's been going on, 1,500 years or something like that. At the very minimum, the last 300-400, it's become more obvious. You're not going to have that dictatorial portion of that. You're going to have somebody who works in conjunction with people who provide jobs, people who manufacture, people who farm, people who raise cattle, people who are simple workers, and believe me, I hate saying that, I'm a fair to middling carpenter, and I can tell you right now, everybody looks at that and they see, oh, somebody out there pounding nails, and they build a little something, and that's cool. People have no idea what it takes, both physically and mentally. First of all, you got to outsmart the materials. Then you have to make that, whatever you got in mind, something that the owner or the person that's having you do this stuff wants. Then you got to make it look better than what you might have said it was going to, and make it seem like it's better than it really is, but at least equal to what you did. In the process, you've been pounding nails all day, cutting boards with a skill saw, packing lumber, and believe me, lumber ain't light. If somebody ain't picked some up, go to the lumber yard and snatch up a couple of 2x12s and see what it's like. The same thing's true on the other end of the scale. Somebody who works with their mind does the same kind of exercise to the extent, now, a lot of people don't realize this, if you really use your mind a lot, and by that I mean extraordinarily heavy, hard thinking, you're going to find that you actually use up some of that donut that's around your waist. You're going to find that you're physically as well as mentally exhausted if you really get into it far. So I can't say that an accountant works any less than somebody who works physical labor. I think that those positions should be exchanged once in a while so everybody gets a little taste of what other people do so they got some idea. People who have not racked their mind trying to figure out what some idiot did to a set of books hasn't lived. And neither has the person who has not busted their fingers with a hammer. You ain't lived. If you only got one kid, I suggest you borrow one. This way you got two and you don't know who did it. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that go into this. The reason for these shows is twofold: to bring information, which I have an abundance of. Right now, I'm not able to share a lot of it, but a lot of it's going to come out very soon. That information is going to be extraordinary, and it's going to affect each and every life on this planet. I want you to think about that. Everybody is going to be affected by what is being done. In this country, the United States, we have completed one of the projects that was mentioned in the plan, and that was to free the country on a legal basis. Paperwork's done to the satisfaction of those who requested it to be done. They liked it. So, second part of this is community. The reason you need community is to simply be able to communicate, hey man, things have changed. That's where you share that newspaper. This is where we have exchanged information through my recordings of shows where I did interviews, and a lady by the name of Lady Dragon picked it up in Canada and ran with it. People in Australia are doing the same. All over the planet, people are listening to what we got to say because everybody is tired of being regulated, controlled, messed with, and told what to do. Okay? What you got to remember, though, you got to set the alarm clock. You do got to get out of bed, and you have to drive yourself to do whatever it is you're doing. Now, if you hate your job, I suggest you find what you like, that you can also be reasonably proficient at, and go for it. You might find that you'll realize your dreams of being somebody that has an influence in the lives of other people by what you do. And it could be something just as simple as public relations, where you're doing a job that's public contact, and somebody comes up a penny short. A lot of places got a little dish of pennies, and they toss a penny in. When I get pennies from the cash register, it goes in the dish. Somebody else can need the penny. It don't affect me. I don't notice it. Simple stuff. Holding the door for somebody, and it could be the delivery man that's bringing stuff in, who's used to handling the door by himself, makes his job just a hair easier, makes his day a little better. That's the idea behind this. As people do this, you all become friendlier with each other. And I'm going to tell you, it don't matter. It makes no difference. Color, creed, national origin, it really doesn't matter. That's not important. What's important is that we're human beings, and each and every one of us deserves to be treated as such. The respect and dignity that goes along with the combination of acknowledgement and the understanding that the other person has value because of the content of their character is where it's at. Anything less, and you're slighting yourself, let alone the other person. So, you need to go out and play the game. And it's kind of interesting. Can I get this person to talk to me? I wonder. I've seen him several times. I wonder.
Dragon.
Lady Dragon?
Yes.
You're
Here.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the things that have happened are happening in Canada are unique because Canada is different than the United States. But the basis of it is the same thing. It's called freedom. It's called not being controlled. Now, up there, they're trying to create a situation where you have a curfew. Same thing that they try to do in major cities. Well, they're trying to control crime. They're trying to keep the street gangs under control. They're trying to do this or do that. It's for your safety. It's for your own good. I remember my mother telling me that just before she'd give me medicine that would make a billy goat puke. But even so, I took my medicine at that time. I have since grown up and found medicines that do the same thing but taste a lot better. So, what is it you people want? This is the question you need to consider. You want to be assured? I assure you that things are going to be taken care of. That's in process. I'm awaiting calls now on that very subject. The other part of it is, if you want someone to take you by the hand and lead you through life, I doubt you're going to find that. You're going to have to make your own steps. That's why you learn how to walk when you're a kid. Fall down, bust your head, get up, and do it again. You might even still be crying when you do it, but you do it anyway because you know you need to walk. Well, it's time for everybody to start taking their own steps. Yeah, they're baby steps. Sure, you're going to mess stuff up. Yeah, there's going to be accidents. You fall over and hit your head or screw something up that you wish you hadn't. Don't worry about it. You keep trying until you finally learn how to do it. And it ain't difficult. Just be yourself. Relax. Try to have as much fun as you can in the process. And you'll be so successful, you'll be amazed. My understanding is that Lady Dragon's getting a ton of calls from people in Canada who hear these broadcasts. As well, she's got a website, and believe me, I've been to her website. It is dynamic. What is that website, Lady Dragon?
It's called FCM2012.com. It stands for FreeCanadaMovement.com.
And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, there are a load of things that she puts on there every day. It changes every day. It shows the lawyers out marching because they disagree with the idea of the controls and the ridiculous mandates. We got something similar going on here. They're cutting certain aid to college funds. And what is stated is that the only way they can control the price of college is by refusing to have the government guarantee the student loans and things of this nature. It might be interesting to have somebody go in on a pure profit basis and find some of these really good instructors who are willing to really teach. And some of these people will be rare. They'll be difficult to find, but find somebody who can really teach whatever the subject is and put them in place. Figure a price that the professor or the teacher can live with and that the college can afford to pay out. We got a big problem in terms of unionization, breaking the bank. Wisconsin's a good example of that. It used to be that unions were for the specific purpose of protecting an employee from a vindictive boss or owner. And I understand that. At certain points in time, that has been something really to deal with. In some cases today, even though there's a union and they try, they still can't get safe mining. They're still dropping coal mines on people. That's ridiculous. And then they find all these violations. Well, now, if there's deaths involved, how about we adjudicate these people for intentional manslaughter for not making a safe working environment, as an example? I mean, it goes on and on. And I don't want to monopolize all the time. Lady Dragon, you got something that we got about, 8 minutes, something like that? Till the half hour?
I have something to say. I have something to say because we came up to the break, okay? But I wanted to explain to the people everywhere around the world. I was talking about people that has to have power. They have this uniform, but they are not. They don't have power. They are cowards. That's why you can go in front of them and defy them because they are cowards. I'm not talking starting wars here, but I'm just saying that if they are in a suit and hiding, it's because they cannot confront you, you know? And that's why they need the police to arrest you. You understand? But if you start, telephoning their office 24/7 to say, listen, if you keep arresting all my students, I will not vote for you anymore. So you're going to get out of office. Believe you me, if they get one telephone, they will not matter. But if they have 24/7 telephone, they have an email, they have letters, they have people going to the office and say, excuse me, you're working for me. I elected you. You're supposed to do positive things to help this country. You're going the wrong way where you're going. So either you change your direction or else we'll vote you out. Believe you me, if everybody, and I mean everybody in the world would do that, they would be afraid. We're afraid because they want to be sitting in the office and giving orders. But if they know that their office chair is threatening them, but it's threatened, meaning that you can vote them out. What happened here in Quebec when all the Liberals and Conservateurs got unelected and have a new NPD elected, believe you me, it scared a lot of people. That's probably why the provincial government is behaving in that sort, because they know for a fact there's no way they will be reelected. Because they have, with all the damage they have done, if they had instead of saying, oh, okay, maybe we made a mistake, okay, we're going to try to fix this, we're going to have a conversation, and try to make peace with a student. No, they're not making peace. They're making war with students. Imagine that.
Okay, now I got a question, and again, I got another question. Same thing. Minuteman? What do you got to say about this?
Well, it's exactly right. You got to sound off. You just can't sit back and expect them to do what's right when you're going the wrong way. Somebody's got to get up, gather in numbers, and say, "Hey, look, yay-hoo, we didn't put you in there for this. We put you in there to serve us, and this is what we need." It don't go like that anymore. Lord knows we've seen I don't know how many organizations. I mean, how many times have we seen marches in Washington, D.C., folks? Do they do us any good? No. They don't do us any bit of good. They've been done so many times that they're immune to it now. If you have a march on Washington, they look out the window and they say, oh, look, there's another march. But, boy, I'll tell you what, they don't like getting them telephone lines tied up, and they don't like getting them emails inundated. They can't keep up with them all. and it becomes a real pain for them. And hey, if they're going to give you a little pain about your freedom, well, then give them a little pain back for theirs, and that is make them sit at that desk and go through a bunch of emails and answer a bunch of telephone calls. I
How about
highly
we
agree
add
with that.
some band terrorists to that and make some noise at the same time?
Yeah, pots and pans terrorists would be real nice, you know. Get out there this Thursday, 4 o'clock, wherever you're at, surround them buildings and start clanging them pans. You betcha. Sound off. It's time to sound off, folks. There's many ways to sound off, and we're not talking about being violent. That's not what we're
You know how the women got the vote?
You betcha.
You know
Think about how, hey, them ladies use them pots and pans to cook supper. Why, one day they decided to put them pots and pans up.
That's what I was just getting to.
I'm talking about even to them folks that feel like they can rule you because, well, they've been given a position. You know.
Well, you give the day off and you don't cook nothing and let the guy make some bologna or something.
There you go. You know.
I mean, the suffragettes, and these are the people that, the women who got the vote, they went through beatings and all manner of nasty things. They got jailed. They got dumped on by their own husbands. Well, there are ways to strike back, and I'm going to suggest that the ladies of the world have a conscience, and they take care of things. They make sure that the man in their life, a lot of the times, is enabled to do what they do. Be that laundry, be that cooking, cleaning the house, whatever, taking care of the kids. What's the old man going to do when you show up and drop the kids off at work? What's he going to do when not only is the house not clean, there ain't no dinner for him? What happens when his laundry don't get done? I mean, there are a lot of ways that this issues to reverse control. When somebody refuses to cooperate or participate in a given situation, you sit down, you weigh almost twice as much when you go limp as you do if you stiffen up and resist. Think about that. It takes two cops.
Yes, get that point. This kind of goes into one of the subjects I wanted to touch on, Drake, diversity.
Okay.
Diversity. Lord knows we have a lot of people out there that think freedom's based on an ideology. Guess what, folks? It isn't. Freedom is much more than that. Freedom is really defined from one person to the next. Your ideology of freedom might not be your neighbor's. To give you examples, things that some people don't like. What about gay folks? They don't deserve to be free. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute, Minuteman's, he likes gay folks. Well, it doesn't matter whether I like them or not. It's the point I'm making. They deserve to be free. They deserve to be able to make their own decisions in life. Yes.
Because they being persecuted for, imagine that, Minuteman, you touched on something very important. Gay people are persecuted because they're doing what? Because they are loving people. Oh, wow. Imagine that.
Right. That's right. You know, look, folks, our ideologies of freedom change from one person to the next. Don't go out there and stomp on somebody else's rights because of your ideology. That's how we got here.
Hey, Minuteman.
That's exactly what brought us to where we're at now.
Minuteman?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Yeah,
sure.
We're getting to Q&A in just a minute, but I do have one question for you. We did have a small group in another state contact us and had concerns about that. They are a gay community, and they are concerned about a little bit of chaos and what it is that they should do about that because they feel that they might be targeted by some other groups. What can you tell them that they can do to keep themselves feeling comfortable and safe?
Well, by golly, they have a Second Amendment right, and being Americans, and they need to learn about that Second Amendment because that means they can protect themselves. and they need to learn how to protect themselves. Unfortunately, there's those out there that would trample on their rights to make up their own minds. Does that mean that I like the idea of people being gay? Well, no, I don't, to be honest. But I do respect their right to be free and to make their own decision, and then to be able to protect that decision. And that's what I would suggest they do. By golly, form a militia.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Gay rights militia.
Let's take a little break before Q&A, and
Okay.
About 3.5 minutes or so. Okay, and we'll play. I'm going to play a song. "I Am an American" by Jeremy Dodge. It is Terry's favorite song. This is for you, Terry.
Cool.
Okay, we're back. We're going to start Q&A. Our call-in number is 714-868-0749. So if you have a question, just call in and we'll catch your question, okay? Our first caller is Dawn. She's from area code 781. Dawn, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on.
I don't have a question. I just have a statement to make, and I'm going to try not to cry.
Okay.
First of all, I'm just going to read an email from a friend I got today. And this is one of the reasons why we are doing what we're doing. This gentleman is in his late 50s, and he's been in this so-called freedom movement. I've known him for quite a few years. I've never met him. He lives in California. And he says in his email to all, "If you've wondered where I've been, then sorry for not getting back to you the last few days, but I was arrested by the Santa Rosa Junior College campus police while riding my bicycle Saturday night. My crime? I had no government ID with which they could entrap me into their system, and I did not give them more than my name, which is all that the law requires. And this man is very gentle, and I can assure you. The arresting officer threatened me by saying, 'Okay, I will give you one last chance. It's up to you. You can give me the information or you can go to jail.' Well, folks, there comes a time in every man's life when enough is enough. I thought for a moment and decided that I had had enough of the insanity, which has come to be known as the United States government. Either there is the rule of law where government is required to protect people's rights, or simply put, there is slavery. And if the latter, then why play silly games? Just throw me into the I don't even know what this word means, goulash now, because I am most tired of government's stupid games of pretend freedom when people clearly see that oppression rules. And until people stand up against the tyranny, then nothing will change. It will only get worse and worse until they take it all, your freedom, your property, your life. There is the famous old quote, especially apropos now, and it was from Pastor Martin, Niemoller. He was a victim of the Nazis. And he says, in Germany, first they came for the communists, and I did not speak up because I was not a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up. My friend goes on to say in his email, I have never been arrested, handcuffed, or put into prison before, so this was a very interesting and rewarding experience for me, except for the painful 2 days. They had me locked in solitary confinement in a stark concrete holding cell with no bed, no toilet, no water, nothing, including being stripped absolutely naked and having to sleep on bare concrete with only a small blanket, lights burning 24 hours. The bed sores are still with me from the pressure of bone and the skin at the joints, pressing against bare concrete for 2 days. There is no position for sitting or sleeping that in any way tolerable on bare concrete for very long, much less than 2 days. I was never read the charges against me. I was never read my rights. The arresting officers never identified themselves after repeated demands to do so. None of them ever showed ID as required by law. The arresting officer finally told me his name and badge number after the 5th demand and after I was in handcuffs waiting to be taken to prison. I sat patiently in the booking area while the arresting officer filled out papers after being transferred to the county jail, Officers shortly thereafter began twisting my arms because they claimed I was resisting and not cooperating. When I fell to the floor from the pain, they twisted even more until I was screaming in pain. It felt as though my arms and legs were going to come out of their sockets. One of the sadists sank his knee into my back and pressed until I could not breathe. They finally relented after several minutes of torture and screaming. Then they threw me into the bare concrete holding cell and stripped my clothes naked while again twisting my arms so that I was screaming in pain for the second time. It took several hours for the pain to subside. That began the 2-day ordeal. Why I was required to spend 2 days in solitary confinement totally naked in a bare concrete cell because I would not answer their questions. The torture was used to break my spirit with the promise of the benefit of being transferred into a regular prison cell, but only if I answered their questions. This is the classic technique used by all tyrants, the Nazis, Soviet, KGB, and now it has come to the United States police state. When I asked, do I not have the right to remain silent? The answer was no, you must answer the questions, or are we required to keep in the bare concrete cell until you do, for your own protection? See how much they really care about us? This, my friends, is what America has come to. The real criminals are not inside the jails. They are outside the jails enforcing their own insane brand of law and justice. He says, my parents survived the Holocaust, so how ironic that I'm experiencing what they experienced so many decades ago. My godmother survived the same horrors as an adolescent, and that is how we became family. She had nightmares every single night since that time and was unable to sleep well for even a single night during the rest of her life. As a nation, we have gone past the point of no return. We passed that point long ago. It happened after Reagan's term as president sometime in the late 1980s with Bush Sr. The war on terror, a complete fraud, was absolutely long planned from the start to be the pretest for this type of abuse, deprivation, imprisonment, torture, and even wanton killing to consolidate control by the ruling elite. And he goes on to finish, I experienced firsthand just how successful that program has become. Many of you in my email list know exactly what I speak. He says, my friend bailed me out tonight, for which I am grateful, so I'll be getting caught up with the emails the next few days. I will update the story as time allows. And he signs it, I cry for America. That, folks, is one of the reasons and one of the many stories that people don't understand that really happens in this world, in the United States. And I just wanted to share that with everyone. So I thank you for everything that everyone's doing. And if you live in Massachusetts, I've made announcements on topics.com in the city of Lynn. We're having a Pots and Pans Brigade tomorrow at 3:45. So if you want to join us, feel free.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your story.
Welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
That's something, isn't it? We have another caller. It's Keith from area code 205. Keith, you're on.
Yeah, that's me.
Hi, Keith. Go ahead.
I was wanting to comment on Drake about the carpentry stuff. I've been a carpenter, ever since I've been out of high school. I've been self-employed doing carpenter work, and in 2006, when the economy went south, I've had 15 workers laid off, and hadn't seen no end in sight, to put them back to work. Now, prior to that, I was doing everything by the books, taxes, had workman's comp, had $2 million liability insurance. And once I got into that system, I was, it was very difficult to get out of it. And I've since couldn't afford license and insurance no more. Now, my question is, when this economy revamps, are we going to be able to go back to work without being licensed for everything that we do, how is this going to affect the common man who's trying to put food on the table and keep his utilities on? And, to put his kids through school or whatever, and not being able to afford it, can't work unless you're licensed to do it.
Well, my understanding is that a whole lot of the regulation, licensing, unnecessary garbage that does not apply to a lot of people is going to be done away with. This does not mean necessarily You might not be tested in your chosen field to show your proficiency. My suggestion has been towards the licensing of a person for life until such time as something changes. You do it once, show you get one of those nice little cards, like, you know, is laminated so it lasts forever, like a credit card looking little thing that says you are bona fide whatever. Now that can be a commercial driver, that can be a carpenter, that can be an electrician. No, I don't think you should have to have a license for everything. You got carpentry, you got electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling. Then after you're done with that, supposedly you're supposed to have a license to put drywall on. The carpenter can come back and do the trim, generally, but having to have a paid license to comply with filling a government coffer for no reason, to me, is the same thing as theft. Proving that somebody's proficient. One time, maybe you might have a refresher course, you know, hour or two, we changed this or this or this, and we need to do such and such. That might not be, to me, a bad idea. Having somebody make sure that a person is not strung out on drugs or drinking a lot when they're driving professionally, I think is a good idea. So long as that person is not driving erratically or being really extraordinarily stupid in their operation of the vehicle, or the house don't fall down when you get done building it, I don't see there's a problem there.
Well,
I understand. Hold on a minute. I understand that most of the regulation deals with code, which is pushed upon the people by a United Nations routine of unfunded mandate. This started years ago, but it's still prevalent today. They'll add a building code. Well, a code is not a law, but it's something you're supposedly got to comply to. So long as the thing is structurally sound, I don't see any problem with building it, no matter what it is. If somebody can handle an 18-wheeler and do so without running over everybody or causing other people to run over each other, I don't see a problem with that person driving. So take a lot of the regulatory gobbledygook and get rid of it. Most of it is not necessary because you take care of it anyway to make the customer happy. So, you know, yes, I'd say that these things will be attended to. Now, my understanding is we're going to change the legal system to common law, which means that we're going to also institute something called common sense. And boy, oh boy, is that going to be a tough one. Common sense. Why do they call it common sense when it seems to be so rare? Well, common sense would tell you that if you look at history and you understand it, all of the things done in society to the society by way of money or a lack of it is pre-planned. These people are going to be removed. The system they're using is going to be removed. We're going to find ourselves in a situation where an honest person can go ahead and be honest and be thanked and congratulated for their honesty in what they're doing. Just that simple. The basic difference between freedom and slavery, environmental protection. What does a carpenter have to do with environmental protection? Well, then you got OSHA, safety, it's for your own good. Well, same sort of stuff. All of these things got to go or be modified to an extent where they're livable at least. The economy, I'm going to bring that in. The collateral accounts that are coming at us are huge. And by huge, I mean everybody that wants to work, everybody who needs a job, people who need to have a decent wage. Now, the prices of things, according to the manner in which the currencies are structured, are going to adjust. So in other words, a $10 an hour job might be equal to a $30 an hour job today. That it could be that much difference. At this point, the details of those sort of things have not been fully worked out, so I can't tell you what they are yet. When I find out, I guarantee you everybody will know. It'll be published. We're going to have educational channels to tell you about all this stuff. Now, as far as somebody willing to work, then that person needs a job. It may not be exactly what they want right at first, but if they're talented, I'm sure they will find a way to get into their chosen profession, be that carpentry, flying an airplane, or something. So you can look forward to the idea of a free economy that is actually for the people instead of for the banker or the rich person. Difference, big difference. That answer your question?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to comment on these licenses. You know, when I took my license, there were carpenters taking their test who have been building all their lives in their communities, the best builders in their communities, and they couldn't pass that test.
Yeah.
You know, they ask stupid questions on the test, but you know, and some of them are legitimate questions, but, you know, it's really ridiculous. If you've been building, you're the best builder in your community, you shouldn't have to pass their test. If people are willing to, you know, by word of mouth say, this guy's who you need to get, that's who I used, I simply loved it. You know, these licenses really are stacked against the people, you know, the way they regulate and everything. So hopefully that these regulations will mellow out and do something, you know.
Well, what I'm trying to express to you is that the social changes in conjunction with business changes, in conjunction with financial changes, the plan that I have seen calls for 24/7 voting, so that people can pick issues, get them on a ballot. You may have a ballot just as long as a presidential election. I don't know how exactly it's going to be structured, but it's going to be for the people, by the people. It is not going to be against the people. This sort of thing has got to quit. There may be some things that not everybody can agree upon actually totally, but it's a little bit good for everybody, and it's something that doesn't interfere with your life too much and is not all that bad anyway. That sort of thing, I think, would be applicable. In other words, the test should be, can you build? Okay? And what do you know about building? Do you know what it takes for a span of such and such feet for a floor? You use a 2x6, 2x8. Obviously, you wouldn't use a 2 before. You know, people know these things after years of experience.
I know all that stuff there, yes.
Exactly. And these are the things that need to be looked at.
Dovetails.
Well, what I'm saying is that these are the things that should be looked at, not whether or not you know the code, which is a requirement and legality that's not necessarily something that needs to be any more than you need to use a 2x12 over a certain length that you probably already know anyway. Simple. It'll be changed, as I understand it. Does that answer your question?
Yep, sounds like good news to me.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to go to Martin. He is in area code 847. Martin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a question for Drake about the financial reset. When we have this period of time where the currencies are being zeroed out, you recommended using silver, junk silver for transactions that will be it will be resolved by weighing it and then offsetting it by spot. But if the currencies are being zeroed out, what's that spot value going to be? Is it going to be the last known spot value because the currency is no longer going to be reflective of that? And should people also have some cash on hand just in case? Because I think there's going to be a lot of non-believers in the silver thing. where they're still going to want to accept FRNs just to sell their stuff, even though it may be suicidal for them to do so. I think there's going to be a lot of that out there where they're not going to take your silver.
That could be. It could be. It could go to a straight barter system until such times as things straighten out. I don't know everything. I don't want people to get the idea I do. I know a lot, but I'm not in a position to dictate to anybody as to what things are going to be. The things that I've been expressing are things that are a general plan that are generally being followed. A lot of the ideas are being worked on by people who are pretty much experts in freedom, experts in finance, things of that nature. And I would wait and see what they've got, what they have to offer. Now, something people may not be aware of, these things will be offered. In other words, you get to look at it, you get to study it, then you get to vote on it. Do you think that's a good idea? Just that simple. Does it interfere with anybody but the people that shouldn't be doing something anyway? I mean, you know, it's real simple. And if I got anything to do with it, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible so anybody, any educational background, any walk of life, can get the idea of it without a problem. I will go out of my way to do that. I will make that promise. If I got anything to say about it, I don't even know if I'm going to have anything to say about it. So we'll see what happens.
But it's probably a good idea to have a mixture of both cash and silver on hand, just in case you run into that. I mean,
that would not be a bad idea. That way you got both ends covered.
And you don't know about the spot how they're going to do that. I mean, has there been any discussion as are they just going to freeze the spot price when that happens, so people at least will have a standard when they go in with their silver to have it weighed?
Well, that's a good question. At the time that things start settling out, then we'll know the answer to that. I can't predict the future, and I have no idea what the intent and purpose of certain things are going to be. I would imagine that they're going to try to make it fair to everybody, so nobody gets messed up in the process. But as I said, these things are being worked on, so they're not set in stone. And then the people have to be in a position to approve what they're doing. This is a part of the system of government we've had since the founders. That's what I would look to. The legal currency being gold and silver. To me, silver is less expensive than gold. It's a little more readily available generally. So more people could afford to have some. You're looking at maybe a 2-week span, give or take, from what I understand and what I've been told and what's been explained to me. And I have been asked by people that are principals in doing this to give this information to the people so that they can prepare and be ready and have some ideas to what's coming. Now, you know, there's a lot more goes into it, but that should answer that question.
Great, Drake. Hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. I just want to clarify those points because I think, you know, so people should have some cash just in case. Just in case that, you know, you get a lack of cooperation from non-believers. You know. Anyway, that's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, I'm going to stop and take a couple of questions from the chat because these have been sitting here for a little bit. Drake, what happened to the credit versus the debt system revaluation?
Well, credit versus debt. Credit and debt are both the same thing. What you're going to go to is an equity situation from a debt situation. You will have debt instruments. That's what paper currency is. It is a voucher for a certain value. Therefore, some of the currencies presently available may be still in use. This is something that's not fully decided yet, and until it is, I'm not going to make any suggestions one way or the other than I do know it's going from a debt situation, which is going to be taken care of, to an equity situation. Instead of having a negative value, you will have a positive value. And the difference should be, to me, from what I see, pretty extraordinary. So That should answer that.
Okay, I'm going to do one more from the chat, and then we'll go to the next caller. Are you privy to the $1.2 quadrillion in derivatives owned by J.P. Morgan? Do they still have control, or is this gone?
Okay. Financial warfare is an interesting idea. This is where you take and use credit against somebody for a specific result. Credit default swaps and things of this nature are hybrid derivatives. That means it's some kind of 5 different kinds of stock rolled into one that's some sort of insurance policy against something adverse happening. Credit default means that your company or business or country defaults on its debts, and supposedly this kicks in at a certain point. Each one of these things has its own little certain point it kicks in on. So, you know, take a guess as to exactly what is going to happen. The reason I say that is that even the financial experts don't really know what a credit default swap is or how they actually work. I've asked a few of them, and they couldn't really explain it. So, to me, you got some kind of a thingy. Whether it's got any value or not is questionable. J.P. Morgan is in an interesting situation, as are a lot of other financial institutions. My suggestion is that you sit back and watch to see which way things go and which way the wind blows, and we'll watch it together. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Our next caller is Dan from area code 702. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Sure can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm here in Las Vegas, and just to celebrate some of the upcoming events, I know people sometimes walk into the casinos. Well, this might even be better than the slot machine noise. Let's see if we can do that worldwide. Anyways, my question is, what are your thoughts on the Vatican Butler and Tony Blair heckler for Drake?
I think we're trying to get into politics, and I don't go there for one thing. Number two, I try to stay away from news that's not news. And to be quite honest, a heckler is a heckler. If you cannot answer that person, either in humor or in fact, then there may be a problem there somewhere. As far as getting into the rest of the political scene, I don't particularly like politics because I see the way they act in terms of people who call themselves politicians. And that's my answer to that.
All right. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next caller is Yvonne, and she's from area code 813. Yvonne, are you there?
I am. I'm here.
Go ahead, honey.
Hi. I really don't have a question to ask. I was just so moved by the story about that gentleman in California. And I heard that on the heels of being in the chat room and having to get out of there. And so there's just, I'll make it very brief because I don't know if I can keep it together here, but if it were not that I had a Patriot cousin who spent 11 years in prison for helping people, along with his daughter who died in prison because of lack of medical care, I would not have any reality about what some of these people do and have done, the Patriots and all of this. And I have a feeling that a lot of these people that make all these ridiculous comments on the chat and nitpick about somebody being gay or what Drake said and all of that, they don't have a clue. And I don't judge them because I know were it not for my experiences, I wouldn't either. But honestly, I think people need to just stop say a little prayer and realize that this is so big, it's so important. We haven't suffered yet, most of us, especially people making comments in the chat room. We really haven't suffered, or we wouldn't be making those comments. And I really haven't suffered either, but I have family that has, and that's still paying for it. So I think that it would be good for people to, if they could, you know, I can't make people do things. It just upsets me, and I so appreciate Drake and all of you, because I know how hard you all work, and frankly, I get very, very upset when people do and say some of the things they say, and I know we can't control them, but I just had to say it, and I hope it's okay. And bless all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Our next caller is Denise from area code 228. Denise, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Hi, Denise. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, Drake. I had a quick question on the financial end. As far as the money that we have, like residing in regular savings and loan banks and everything at this point, if it may still be valid currency, what is your best suggestion as to how to secure that now? Like, should we leave it in the banks? Should we move it into a private bank? Should we bring it home and put it in a safe under lock and key? What do we do with our current currencies?
From what I understand as to the way things are to come about, the dollars that are in existence, specifically with small people, some of the larger people may take a little bit of a hit. I don't know that for sure, but I've heard rumors that may be the case. If the bank or system where you have your currency is not directly affiliated with the central banking system or has very minimal ties to it, those are the banks that are going to be reopened, and reopened as immediately as possible. The understanding I have is that this can go two ways. Either there will be a revaluation of our present currency from, they've got printing dates, the massive amounts of printing that has gone on in the last couple of years is not something that some foreign countries will accept. I would suggest they don't accept it here either. However, that's not up to me. The banks will be all closed for a period of time. Should be about a week from what I can understand. The currency that you have should be revalued or replaced according to whatever system is worked out. My understanding is this is supposed to be a one-for-one if there is an exchange. My understanding to go further than that is that it's easier, less expensive, and a lot quicker to go ahead and revalue the currencies available. So if you have a small bank, small local bank, something that even if it's a chain bank, say there's 5, 6 of them, maybe 8 or 10, and it's not tied too heavily into the Federal Reserve, there should not be any problems. Those banks that are large.
Would a credit union be a Would a credit union be an answer there? Like transfer it to a credit union?
You'd have to ask them how directly tied to the Federal Reserve they are. The more independent they are, the safer your money is. Just that simple. Now, that does not mean...
most of the chain banks all say FDIC and, you know.
Well, FDIC is just deposit insurance, and my understanding is they've been running in the red. So it doesn't mean a whole lot.
Okay.
The thing you have to look at is whether or not your bank is directly tied to the Federal Reserve, and a minor tie doesn't mean a lot. If it's heavily involved with it, that can mean something. And
like
what you can do is you can honestly go to your bank and ask. What?
I'm sorry, like if you're at Chase Bank or J.P. Morgan or something, Bank of America.
those banks that receive bailouts are the ones I'd get away from. That'll give you a rule of thumb to follow.
That's good.
The ones that didn't really absolutely have to have that, but do a business with the Federal Reserve on an as-needs basis are most probably safe. If you can find one, this is going to be a real trick, if you can find a bank that does no business at all with the Federal Reserve, you're in great shape. And that's basically how it works.
Okay. So pulling your money out and bringing it home and putting it in a safe is a not good idea then, basically.
Not necessarily, no. You don't have to go running around trying to figure that out. It's easier to simply go and ask your banker, how heavily are you tied into the Federal Reserve? If it's not, just an as needs basis, we need a little cash to see us through payday because the date of the due on bills did not fall at the right time so that they got the ready cash available, and they get some cash from the Federal Reserve. That doesn't obligate them. Now, somebody like Bank of America, Chase, et cetera, who has been doing heavy business with the Federal Reserve, that's different. Those banks are going to have some problems. And this is why I suggest the smaller local banks, the ones who are less involved in that particular area, less heavily involved. And like I say, if you can find one that don't do any business with them at all, you got it.
Okay. As always, thank you so much, Drake.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to ask another question from the chat. What does Drake suggest for those of us who simply don't have the extra funds available to buy gold and silver coinage? Any ideas?
That could be a problem, but if you're actually that poor, then what you've got is emergency assistance. And by emergency assistance, this is already part of the plan in terms of making sure people have food to eat and things of that nature. I would suggest the 2-week period, and it doesn't matter where it falls, within that 2-week period, you're not going to have your utilities turned off, so you don't got to worry about the lights and the phone and the toilet flushing and that sort of thing. So the only thing you'd be looking at in terms of an expense would be fuel if you have to go somewhere, and food. If someone is willing to help you out with the food, and this could be a neighbor. It doesn't necessarily have to be an emergency entity of some sort. Then you're in really great shape if you can do it with a neighbor. They might have enough gas to be able to, take you someplace that you need to go, whatever that may be. So that's basically what I would suggest is the reason for community. It's a really solid reason. Somebody might need to go get meds or see the doctor or whatever. Next question.
Okay, the next question comes from the chat. Drake, if they're going to nickel and dime us with toll roads, will the price of gas come down to where we can afford it?
Well, you remember I said something about $21 a month on your phone bill? The same sort of thing applies to gasoline. There are a whole load of federal, and I mean federal, strictly federal taxes in your gas. It's quite a bit. It varies according to where your location is in terms of the amount of the tax. Now, it shouldn't vary, but it does. I've decided to do a little checking once and found that out. So, if you take the idea of not having a federal government out of the picture any more than you absolutely have to have, there will be a little bit of it, but not much. You're looking at an extraordinary decrease in the price of a whole bunch of things. You're talking about your paycheck being quite a bit fatter if the federal government gets their skinners out of there. So, there you go.
Okay, and we have another one. I've gotten this question. We've gotten this in email before, Drake. What about the student loans owed? Are they going to be zeroed out? How are they going to be handled?
Okay. This goes to credit and what credit really is. The originator of the credit is you. Your signature on the contract is the credit that they use to charge you for the privilege to pay them money that you originated. This is called Ponzi scheme or fraud. Therefore, you're not going to have a whole lot of these debts. A whole lot of these debts are bogus, student loans being one of them. Okay?
Okay. The chat room, everybody in the chat room, a lot of people in the chat room want to talk about the floods you mentioned this morning. They said you mentioned something about floods, and of course they want to talk about arrests, their favorite subject.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Go for it.
If somebody is into geophysics, the science of geophysics, on a planetary, solar system, and galactic basis, they can understand exactly what the floods are about. Now, this will not be the first time. Whether anybody likes it or not does not matter to me. What you need to do is go do your own research. They have evidence that at one point we had a 300-foot rise, and another point we had a 600-foot rise in the sea levels. These were due to varying things. We have a planetary alignment coming up. Due to the nuclear engine that has to do with our gravitational field and other relationships between planets, sometime around the time of our planetary alignment, and this is on NASA if you want to look it up, we are supposed to also experience the melting of the ice caps on both poles. The estimated rise in sea level at the maximum will be 200 feet at the most. I suggest you make sure you're 200 feet above sea level, and that'll take care of that problem. Now, what was the second part of that?
The RV and the arrests. There's three parts.
Oh, okay. Revaluation goes to the collateral accounts, which are due to be released very soon. You'll like the RV when it happens. The arrests are something that probably will occur at about the same time as your central banking system disappears, because at that point then the bad guys don't have the financial leverage necessary to exercise the powers that they've had before. And that's the simplest answer I can give you on those.
Okay, I have one more. This goes back to money. What about people that have accounts in like online banks, PayPal, that kind of thing with this reset? What's going to happen to them?
I would suggest that you make sure that you have real money deposited in an account, and that should put you in a position where when you get a revaluation or exchange, you get a fair deal instead of losing or possibly having a loss of funds. PayPal is usually holds for 72 hours and disperses funds to your bank account anyway. My understanding is that they do have insurance coverage to cover inconsequential interruptions, so you can deal with it that way. Next question.
That's all we have for now.
Well, I can't believe that the world ran out of questions that quick. I'm serious. This is extraordinary. The crux of all this, and I've kind of held back on some of the things that I know I could share simply because they deal with times and timelines. People wanted to hold me accountable for things I was given to say and told to say. Sorry, I do feel a responsibility for that. Consequently, I'm not going to tell you when. That ain't happening anymore. If you want to know who screwed the timeline up, I'd talk to the military in one respect. Now, I'm not going to blame it all on the military because The military has intimated to me that I was a little premature in coming out on the air with some of the stuff that I have talked about. However, that does not negate its reality and the fact that it's going to happen. Now, much of this is in progress as we speak, and everybody needs to understand that there's several things that goes into this. One of those is that the realities that I've been talking about that seem to be almost imaginary are just about ready to happen. When they plop in your lap, the question is, are you going to be ready as an individual to be able to understand how to operate within the limitations of freedom? Freedom, very simply, your rights stop where the other person's nose begins. So bar fights and that sort of fun is out. The other thing is that if people do not put together artificial conditions to cause wars that they can profit off of, there will be no more wars. We want your oil. We want to take this territory. We need both sides of the bay to do what we want to do. Well, these people who have been doing this for an extraordinary number of years are going to be removed one way or the other. It's their choice as to whether it's feet first or they can stand up and walk out like a man, take your medicine and deal with it. Now, some people, I have been given a glimpse of some of this list. It's somewhere between 30 and 50 feet long, and it has people that are going to be arrested and those who are not. It prefers a combination of charges against those who will be arrested. It also exonerates for certain reasons, which are stated on this list, in very short manner. I don't know if anybody has seen what's called a truncated legal brief. That's a very extraordinarily short message. Why they're not going to be arrested. Some people, just quite honestly, through dumb luck, took their money and made money with it. So there's no big deal in terms of them doing what they do. If they're an honest business person, they do several things. They do things in a fair manner with both their customers and their employees and the business they have. They don't take extraordinary trips and drive Rolls Royces necessarily, although some of them have the money to do that. There's nothing wrong with having money. There's also nothing wrong with getting an honest amount of money for your labors either. There's also nothing wrong with the idea that there should be equal pay. And I'm specifically speaking about the differential between women and men. That has got to be done away with one way or the other. Whether it hurts somebody's feelings or what, don't matter to me. If a lady can do what anybody else can do, whatever kind of work it is, she should get the same kind of pay. Just that simple. And I've run a lot of construction crews, and I used to pay some of the ladies more than the men because they were worth it. Just that simple. And the guys, when they found out, they were a little miffed. Oh, you're paying a girl that? I said, well, she's doing a lot better work than you are. Can you catch up? I'll pay you the same thing she gets. You talk about a contest. These ladies were not about to be caught up with, and the guys were not about to be left in the dirt. And, oh, my goodness, you get things done real quick when that happens.
Hey, Drake?
Yes.
Were you finished with that?
Pretty much.
The reason I say that is because we've got some more callers. You ready for some more questions?
Of course.
Okay. This caller is Cindy. She's from area code 941. Cindy, are you there?
Yes.
Go right ahead. We can hear you.
Hi, Drake. What if the bank has told us that we are Basel III compliant? Does that mean anything real?
You're talking about some fun games in terms of banking regulation, and I will suggest that all of the banking rules, to include most all of the financial rules that everybody's familiar with, are due for some heavy changes. Same deal with the regulation and laws. This is basically what you're dealing with. There's enough regulations to kill somebody. There are enough laws that you become a felon just going to work every morning. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a people compliancy. In other words, if it's not equitable, it ain't going to happen. If it's not something that your average person can deal with, it ain't going to be. Just that simple.
So the Basel III program that they've talked about for a long time doesn't really mean anything?
Yes, it does. It's another convoluted way for the banks to steal.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
And the crooks are going, so it ain't going to happen.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, our next caller is, let me look at the board here. The board's moving slow tonight. Our next caller is Doug. He is from area code 980. Doug, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are y'all tonight?
Okay. Fine, how are you?
I'm doing good, calling from North Carolina, where the Bill of Rights was actually made into play back when the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence happened. So calling from a good state, and Drake, I really appreciate your service, and I really appreciate everything you helped come out to light, too. That's I've been following you since March 28th, and it's just been, it's been real informative, and I just want to tell you I appreciate you first off. One of my main questions is, we all, kind of feel, and we know as Ron Paul supporters that he's not only involved in a certain aspect, but he knows about what's going on, and he's been more of a light than anybody else probably in the past 25 years as far as tendency. But I want to know, is Mitt Romney, is his butt going to be one of the ones that are going to go to the wayfall, or are they just going to keep him, let him keep running and lying and everything else?
That goes to being a crook. You do not loot a company and put the funds in an offshore account without some sort of problem. And Romney's not exactly the cleanest turkey on two legs.
Right.
Now, I have heard rumors that the money has been moved back to the States. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the foreign accounts these people hold are going to be forfeit largely simply because they have stolen the money in one form or another, be that a legal theft or not. A lot of the times you'll hear the statement, what's legal ain't lawful and what's lawful ain't legal, and you go ring around the rosy on that forever. So basically, Romney, he might be leading in the polls and whatnot, but if you want to pick a candidate and write him in who would at least perform a good portion of what is needed, I would pick on Ron Paul. Now, the problem with this is that the things that I've been speaking about are to take place before the election. So we may not have that election at the same time that we are used to having it.
Right. Well, I've heard he may be at least in charge of the Senate by what I'm being told. I don't have any vouch for that, but just what I've been told. My second question, then I'll let you go and let the other callers take place. My wife has been real sick here lately. I mean, real sick. She has Crohn's disease, which I think is a fake disease. I think it's something that has to do with maybe food that is poison or water or milk, whatever you want to call it. And she's been fighting it just like hundreds of thousands of people with Crohn's disease and colitis across the U.S. She had her colon removed, and she's really hoping that this new technology that's going to be released can help her to survive because she's had a rough time. And I'm just wondering what your personal opinion, or if you know any more that you can share with me on that.
There are several things coming out presently, and they're just now coming out that supposedly address this. My suggestion would be go to the freedomreigns.us website and look up Will Spencer. He may be able to help you with the problems. I'm not sure of that, and I don't make guarantees for somebody else's stuff. Now, I do take his products, and I'll tell you that they do work a lot better than anything I've ever had in my life. So that's my recommendation in terms of that. If he knows something that can help, then by all means, listen to what the man has to say. He does an excellent job. Okay?
Very good. Thank you, Drake. Appreciate you, and keep your head up, and we're here behind you, bud.
Thanks.
Okay. Our next caller is Sheridan from area code 541. Sheridan?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, Drake. I just want to say what the previous gentleman said. We're behind you. We appreciate you being the voice for this. I know there's not a lot you can say a lot of the times, but we sure appreciate what you can say. It's been a real encouragement to me and my group. So today I'm calling. I run a small tech business, and I also have a small investment group that I use as I encourage everybody to be, proactive, with regard, raising awareness and being a part of the solution as much as people are willing to anyway. But this group is based on an investment called the Iraqi dinar. I know you've gotten questions about this in the past. And, what I'm hearing from my intel sources, I have 3 intel sources now, Marines over there in the Middle East, and a gentleman who works out of Texas and works in the Middle East at times. And, they're basically, one of them is basically saying that they suspect that the Iraqi dinar may actually wind up being a recovery currency, a recovery tool after all this resetting goes on. I mean, he has nothing to support that. And I wondered what your thoughts were on that and what you think about that. Does that make sense?
Drake, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I was on mute. I walk around sometimes. People don't need to hear me clumping on the floor. Okay, quite simply, as I understand it, the currencies are all going to be revalued at the same time. So hopefully in the next few weeks, and I don't know when, and I don't know the level at which any particular currency is going to be valued. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about this and that. I've heard about exchange rates that are almost stupid sounding in terms of the numbers. I'm sure that those exchange rates will be adjusted to some extent, but I do not know to what extent. As to a recovery currency, all of the financial systems will be under the RV or recovered. So you're looking at a recovery that's going to happen worldwide with different currencies, very probably. Okay?
I think that what concerned me is that Iraq, as an example, was part of a central banking initiative using our military to turn them over and, create this whole fiasco and unjustly and however unfairly as it is, but it is what it is. And so there's a lot of that kind of thing where essentially the current cabal has managed to turn over these countries, and I wondered how that, I mean, they've got to have their currency, but they essentially got turned over under a bad system that's about to become a good system, for lack of a better way to put it. And so, we've all been wondering about how that might actually come about. I mean, my personal opinion is Iraq was, and along with some of the other Middle East countries, are a real, terrible thing in a lot of ways. So, anyway,
it's pretty simple.
It is what it is now.
What you have to understand is that the old system is going in toto. You're not going to see very much of it left at all. Now, under that idea, you have to understand what a revaluation is, and that's what you have to look forward to. I don't know what kind of rates or differences there are going to be. That is not up to me to decide. There's going to be a worldwide council of financial experts that will try to make as close and reasonable a determination as is possible, and you have to understand that there are thousands of trillions of dollars that are going to be put into place in certain amounts in certain countries to cause revaluation without causing problems. And that is, to me, a mystery, but everybody's just going to have to wait.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, thank you for your insight there. Appreciate it. And, that's about what I was thinking, too. So appreciate you very much, my friend.
Thank you, Sheridan.
Got it? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, our next caller is Paul from area code 623. Paul, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, you're on.
Good evening, Frank. Yeah, I want to be like the previous two callers. Just thank you for your time and efforts and helping people get educated out there and giving that peace of mind that, somebody's out there watching out for their back. So thank you. First of all, I know we've been talking about, the student loans being zeroed out and what to do with people's money that have been in accounts, how to protect themselves in that manner. For those people, and I'm sure there's a lot of them out there like myself that are involved in a bankruptcy, what can they expect? Should those go away, or should they continue business as usual?
Business as usual is done. In very short order, everyone will find us out. That means that a lot of the things that have gone on before won't even exist after we're done with this. And I hope that answers a lot of questions.
Okay, so we should expect to possibly see those go away.
You're talking about seeing a lot of things evaporate.
I understand. One other question, too. I know talking with Minuteman and supporting your local militias and connecting with your local sheriffs, and our particular sheriff here in Arizona, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, he's been in the news quite a bit. I don't know quite whether to look at him as an ally or as someone that's part of this, crooked picture that is going on out there. In your opinion, based on what you've seen and what you know about him, what do you think of his connection?
I think the man's doing a heck of a job, and I hope he nails somebody to the wall with it.
That's good. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Thank you again, Drake. I appreciate your time.
Welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Our next caller is Pat from area code 270. Pat, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. You're on, Pat.
Okay. Like the other callers, Drake, and all the rest of you, we appreciate everything you're doing for us and keeping us informed. My question is, and I may have missed the answer, you may have given it, but my Social Security check is direct deposited. Is this going to continue through the revaluing, and what happens to we seniors who are dependent on our Social Security checks?
Well, pretty much everybody is going to be taken care of in certain ways. This has not been fully detailed, but it has been accepted that certain pensions, we paid for Social Security. Okay, if you take the average Social Security account and look at it over a period of years and find out that the bank has been getting compound interest on top of what you put in, then you realize that they have been stealing from you, so therefore they owe you money, which will be extracted, hopefully painfully from them, and applied to a variety of things, including Social Security, veterans benefits, and a few other things that are equitable in terms of what they do and what they provide for.
All of these thugs and crooks that hopefully are going to be arrested, is their wealth going to be confiscated and given back to the people?
Exactly. They're going right down to the nubbins. You're liable to see fat bankers sitting on the curb in their underwear. I don't know how far it's going to go, but that would be a pretty picture, and I'd love to see that on the front page. But I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Our next caller is Greg from area code 928. Greg, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
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 I have a question about the loan zeroing out and the mortgages, and this is kind of a little different take from everyone else, but I was wondering for the person or people who were concerned about these mortgages on homes and didn't take them and, sacrificed and, don't own a home, because they didn't want to take these big mortgages, and I don't know what's going to happen with this, if other people are they going to end up keeping a house they got, they get their mortgage forgiven, and the people who never did that to begin with, they're like, gee, maybe I should have gone out and taken a, big mortgage so I could have had a house. I know it's kind of a different question, but I was just thinking about this whole system being equitable, if you had any thought or comment on that at all. Thanks.
The situation is simple. The people who are in an equitable situation will continue so, only without the bills. People who did not or have not involved themselves will find that their credit signature, which is a certain valuation that you have as well with the collateral accounts, will buy you a lot of things. If a home is one of the things on the horizon, then you could very well afford one. Now, the other part of this is, or the other leg of this is, goes to productivity. You have to understand that people are more productive when they make more money for what they do generally. Now, that does not mean a welfare handout or anything of that nature. What it means is that if you're rewarded for what you do, and the reward continues to build according to what you're doing, then your productivity generally follows the money. As the money goes up, so does your productivity. There are limits to that, but not as much as people think. You can only do so much physical or mental labor within a certain period of time. When you reach the crown, that would be, or the top, but that would be your maximum in terms of what you're going to make. Okay?
Okay, well, yeah, no, thanks. That just, that helps answer that. Just wanted to get an opinion on that. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool.
Our next caller is Brenda. Brenda's from area code 559. Are you there, Brenda?
I'm here. My question is, what about people that are on, I'm on a pain management program, which is a methadone clinic, and they only give enough for like a week to take home, and that's only if you're, going along with all the rules, and I do. Will those still be open to the public?
Well, you're going to find out something pretty nice. How would you like not to have any kind of drugs anymore? In other words, being able to, listen to me, being able to be clean, and at the same time no withdrawal symptoms and no reason to want to go back to it. These things are available. They have been hidden. They're part of the technologies that will be released very soon. Now, certain emergency provisions are made for people such as yourself, people who are on limited income and cannot get any money, things of this nature. You need to let somebody know, and they will see to your needs. It may not be what you expect in terms of your treatment, but I think you'll find it more than what you bargained for. I think you'll find that it's pretty decent. Okay?
Yeah, that brings tears to my eyes, actually. I just can't wait. Thank you so much. Who do I ask about this? Who would I tell this to?
Generally, a constitutional sheriff can help you with that. You may end up dealing with a military doctor. I'm not sure exactly what the full structure is because I'm not privy to that information.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Well.
All right.
Thank you, Brenda. We have another caller. This is Michael from area code 917. Michael,
hello?
You there?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi, fine, how are you?
Good. I actually got on the call late, so I don't know if this our question's been answered or not. Drake, but I've been following David Wilcox's site, and I listened to your call the other night where you spoke about Neil Keenan, and I was wondering if you had any updates as to whether or not his liens have been enforced or when they might be enforced, or any updates regarding his suit.
Yes. Neil and I are in almost daily contact, and Neil has put himself in a position of finalizing the financial deals with the originating families in such a manner that the financial portion is about to be finalized. And that's the best amount of information I can give you at this point.
I see. Is that going to be a kind of a key piece of the puzzle to making the dominoes start to fall?
Exactly. That's where the power is derived from, and consequently when that is taken care of, then you don't have any dominoes to play with.
Right. So I'll just keep an eye on Mr. Wilcox's site and your calls, and God bless you, and thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Michael. We have another caller. This is AQ.
Yes, it's E like in...
Oh, EQ. Gotcha. Okay, go ahead. You're on. Thank you.
Very much. Drake, I love what you're telling me. I listen to and take Ben Fulford and also Big Swear and David Wilcox and you guys. I have one. I am not on welfare, but I own some apartments, and some of the people are on welfare. Now, in my opinion, they could work. They don't want to work, and they know how to work the system. What's going to happen with that? And then the other thing I want to know, you guys talk about Skype. I'm on Skype, but how can I get into that, your chat in Skype? Is that too many questions all at once?
No. First of all, the people that are sandbagging are going to be ferreted out. There are ways to test for certain things, to include pain. There's also ways to test for certain disabilities that normally are not tested for. The second part of the thing is that we don't have a chat per se on Skype as far as I know yet. We do have Facebook on the Freedom Reigns website. That chat's pretty much open. People can go in there and discuss things, and there's quite a bit of information there. So those are my two answers to those.
Okay, well, the welfare one, I mean, I personally know some people who, they just keep having babies, and they just keep getting paid $1,500 a month for them, and it just drives me crazy. That's their work, and I don't want the children to suffer. That was my life, as being a teacher, and how are they going to be taken care of?
That's a difficult question to answer. Probably under the auspices of freedom. The personal responsibility for freedom has limitations, and one of those limitations is personal responsibility, not only for yourself, your children, but your actions involved in all that. Now, if need be, these people can work a certain amount of days a week, and the manner in which this could be done, it's a suggestion I've made before, is where you have one or more of these baby factories watching the kids. You take all the kids and put them in a certain area. You have somebody watch them to make sure they don't mistreat them or are causing unsafe conditions, let's put it that way. And that would count as work towards them getting food to eat and that sort of thing. As I understand it, this has already been tested in a couple of places and seems to work fairly well. So, you know, you can actually, you get work credit for watching the kids, then you rotate that. You get to go out, whatever it is, wherever it is, and do something, whatever you're capable of doing for a living, outside of that particular situation of watching the kids or being at home. So, you know, this is my understanding, and this is only a theory. I have not heard anything definitive on this, or nobody has said that, you know, this is the way it's going to be. So I'm not sure of that yet. When it becomes something that's sure, I rather imagine that it will be announced on just about every channel that carries any kind of news there is. Okay?
Well, we have people coming in the country having babies so they can stay here. Then they get into the system, and then we're paying for them. And the prison.
I understand.
Yeah, California is a prison state.
Okay, EQ, we got one more question and a little bit of time left, so we're going to have to move on, okay?
That's fine.
But thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Our next caller is Tori. Tori, you're on.
Yes. Hi, Drake. I've got a couple questions if you have time. My first one kind of piggybacks on that previous caller. Right now I am on supports, cash aid, food stamps because of a company that went bankrupt. And I'm looking for a job, but I was wondering in the meantime when all this does happen, what am I going to do? It's hard for me to go and buy, you know, a couple weeks worth of food in advance. So what's there for people like me?
If you're in an emergency situation, things will be taken care of. You have to get that information out to somebody. Local law enforcement is going to be probably one of the eyes and ears. This is one of the reasons for community and militias. These groups can be a combination of organized, and it can be loose-knit, but someone in the area may have extra food that they don't absolutely got to have that you could definitely make a nice meal out of. So, you know, this is the reason that getting to know your neighbors and all this is very important. But you can go to local law enforcement, and these things are supposed to be seen to, as I've been told.
Okay. Also, I'm single. Should I have a gun in case everything goes crazy or not? I don't have one right now.
That would be a personal decision that I'm not going to say one way or the other a person should or should not have a firearm. If you think that it may be necessary for you to possess a firearm for self-defense, by all means get one. If you do not believe it's necessary, then don't. That's the two alternatives, basically.
Right. Okay. And one more question. My father's waiting for a settlement from workers' comp for an injury at 7 years old. It happened 7 years ago. So what's going to happen with those type things?
Those people will be compensated according to what they should get according to the new system. And I don't know exactly how all of that's going to be worked out, but that's the way I heard it stated to me.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. And I love everything you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you. We're just about out of time, Drake. Is there, well, you got about 1 minute if you want to say something before we go.
Cool. I'm going to say my favorite thing. Get her done. We need to get everybody out there, jump up and down on the couch instead of sitting on it, and get excited about the idea that you just might be a part of the rebirth of a nation. You might be just as famous as them pilgrims that used to carry them flintlocks, only this time you'd be carrying a can of beans over to the neighbor and feeding them because they're hungry. There you go.
Okay. Thank you. And tomorrow night is David Miola. Dr. Miola's show is at 8 p.m. Eastern and right here on Blog Talk with Freedom Reigns. And tune in, and we'll see y'all later. Thanks a lot for listening in. Good night.